They got him. They got Milo. Right now, he is going through the hardest hours of his life. So let's start from the beginning of how, in just 24 hours, his life has completely turned upside down because of some comments that he made. It started with a tweet from some front group that we have no idea who this is controlled by, but they show an excerpt of Milo talking about sex between older men and young boys. This coincided at the same time. This coincided with Jake Tapper. He is I don't want to say CIA. I want to say an insider who has been linked to the Democratic National Committee through the WikiLeaks. And you can see here that basically whatever the DNC needs done, Jake Tapper, he's on the case. So let's start first with what his comments were. Were they really horrible and bad, and which is leading to a lot of things going on in the background, which we're going to get into?
This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, the understanding that many of us have of the complexities and subtleties and complicated nature of many relationships.
All right, there's nothing crazy. Yeah, consent is they arbitrarily pick an age to say that someone can give consent. So if you are 17 years old and 361 days old, you can't give consent. But 2 days after that, when it's your birthday, then you can. So yeah, they do. I can. That's not so bad, right?
In a homosexual world, particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming of age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love.
Oh dear, you know that I can't really justify that comment. But what he's basically saying is some younger boys are able to consent with older men. I mean, that is something that I can't agree with. And I think what he's basically saying, and let's look into, there's one more comment in this video, and then I will add my thoughts.
I think in the gay world, some of the most important, enriching, and incredibly, life-affirming, important, shaping relationships, very often between younger boys and older men, can be hugely positive experiences.
Okay, so what I think he's not saying that we should all of a sudden change the laws of consent. He went on to say he doesn't want to change those laws. I think what he is saying is that for him and his friends, they like sleeping with older men. I think he's talking about himself. He's saying some of the relationships he had when he was younger, maybe under 18, with older men, for him was a good thing. And we have to accept that gays and straight people are not the same. Gays are very different. Their lifestyle, what they believe is normal, is very different than what a straight person thinks is normal. So we have to understand this from the perspective of a very homosexual man who's been having a lot of gay sex from a younger age. There is one more video blurb that got released. This is when Milo went on the Joe Rogan show. So let's see what he says here.
There were some very young boys around at that time. There was a lot of drugs and a lot of
twinks.
A lot of twinks taking drugs and having unsafe sex with older men, and some of these boys were very young.
So here he mentions being at a party and seeing boys sleep with older men. Now, he didn't report it. Now, we don't know what the situation was. There does seem to be some statutory law that was probably broken. He didn't say they were being raped and crying and screaming. So now this is a moral thing. I mean, this is a moral thing whether you want to say he has to report a crime. But then if you take that argument, then we have to report all crimes that we see every day. If you see someone jaywalking, you have to report that. If your friend says that he stole something at work, you have to report that too. So this is like a moral individual thing. There's no law that says you have to report a crime. But yeah, so you can get on him from the moral standpoint. But outside of that, I think that, if you go to a party and people's doing drugs, you don't report that illegal use of drugs, I'm not going to attack you for that. It doesn't help that in some of the art that Milo has done, he has promoted younger looking boys. I was actually at his Cleveland party during the Republican National Convention, and I was greeted by posters of young boys without shirts on. And the funny thing is that a Netherlands politician by the name of Geert Wilders actually did a speech in front of this. So, I think that's going to come back to haunt him probably. But anyway. And now what does Milo have to say about this? Because this just came out. This doesn't look good for him. So what did he say? He did a Facebook post. He says, "I do not support pedophilia, period. It is a vile and disgusting crime, perhaps the very worst. There are selectively edited videos doing the rounds as part of a coordinated effort to discredit me from establishment Republicans that suggest I am soft on the subject." Okay, that's not bad, but the outrage was still very intense. Here you have some conservatives, they came out against him. Milo to CPAC demonstrates how thoroughly the pretense that conservatism is about socially conservative morality has been abandoned. Now, I have long said Milo is not a conservative. To me, I see him as a moderate. And I don't know why he is being paired up with conservatism. He's anti-Islam, sure. He's anti-feminism, sure. But he's a moderate, So I think the beginning of this problem is that he has been paired with an ideology that I can't see him as a conservative. He's not conserving a whole lot. And I mentioned this in the previous video I did on him. Here, Matt Walsh says, if Lena Dunham said what Milo said verbatim, every conservative in the country would be calling for a police investigation. That is a fair point. But when Lena Dunham did say things like this, when she wrote a book saying she diddled her sister, guess what kind of outrage there was for her? Nothing. Zero. So, of course, because she's an establishment stooge. A surprising outrage came from Mark Dice. He's on the dissident right. He supports Trump. And he came out saying, should have known Milo would endorse sex between children and adults. He is gay after all. What a sicko. He's bathed in pig blood too. And a lot of people thought Mark was joking, but he clarified, nope, he isn't joking. He is 100% serious. Because of this, Milo was going to give a talk at CPAC. This is the conservative who's who conference, where if you're somebody in the conservative movement, this is where you go and speak. And the chairman, like 2 days after inviting him, removed the invitation and disinvited. This almost seems like a setup. It's like you lift someone up just to take him down. They invited him and then this thing popped and then they take him. I don't know. The timing seems a little bit weird. So now Milo's like, now he's getting beaten down. Getting disinvited from a conference, that's not a big deal, right? But the heat, when there is outrage, that momentum just wants to keep going. People love to see other people destroyed utterly. I mean, unfortunately, this is a sad fact of human nature. People love to see other people brought down. They just love it. It's just for them, it's fun. They get out their popcorn. And so you can see it. This is what's going on. So Milo, he did a Facebook Live video explaining things.
The video that came out was edited to include a section where I said that consent was arbitrary and oppressive, but that was from a discussion about affirmative consent on college campuses. That was placed next to a section about 13-year-olds to make it look like I was saying that consent for 13-year-olds was arbitrary and oppressive, and that's not the case.
All right, so he's saying that some clips were taken out of context. That's happened to me where my words were taken out of context. But how about that young boys and older men? What does he have to say about that?
When I spoke about relationships between older men and younger men, I used the word boys, and I shouldn't have done that. Gay people do say like boy and girl to mean people of consenting adults very often. Sometimes it's usually like the passive partner gets to is the boy. But I understand that straight people wouldn't necessarily know that.
So here he's saying there was a misunderstanding in terms that. The gay culture, again, we're not gay. So gays are different. I've been saying this for a long time. People were calling me homophobic. Gays are different than straight people. They have a lifestyle that is really extreme. And he's saying that their terms are different. He wasn't referring to boys. Okay. And what else does he have to say?
I phrased things poorly, and I enabled my detractors and critics to assemble material that looked very damning, but which does not reflect my opinions. So for that, I'm sorry.
So he's saying that's not his opinion. So now it's going to come down to, do you believe him or not? Do you believe that Milo is encouraging pedophilia? Do you believe that he has molested people? Do you believe what he's saying or not? That's what it comes down to. And well, I can take a guess if you believe him or not. If you like him and follow him, you believe him. If you don't like him and you are a part of the mainstream establishment, you're a conservative, then you don't believe him. It's really that simple. Do you like him or not? As for me, I don't agree with his politics. A lot of it. We have diverging politics, which is okay. But as a human being, I think he has given more value to the world than taken away from it. It's pretty clear in what he said. He has been abused, and maybe he is talking in a way to kind of be macho or boastful about that abuse to cope. We don't know. But I think as a human being, he has done more good than harm. I don't believe he really wants older men to go grab little boys and take them to vans and to molest them. I don't. If I don't think so. So that's what I think based on what I know about him. And I think he does contribute more to good than to the forces of evil that the establishment does. The momentum now is really piling on because now employees at Breitbart are threatening to quit if Milo isn't fired. And a quote, I think this was from the Washingtonian, says, a senior editor at the right-wing publication tells Washingtonian that at least a half dozen employees are prepared to leave the company if Milo is not promptly fired. A second Breitbart source confirms this estimate. So every employee he's crossed and he has maybe made fun of at work, now their revenge has come. So this is what you're seeing there. And by the time I publish this video, I believe there is a very good chance he will be let go, unfortunately. But pedophilia, that is a dark thing. I don't think he will be able to keep his job. I hope he does for his sake, but the way it looks at the time I'm doing this video, I don't think so. And the news articles, when I was reading the news articles about Milo, it reminded me of something. Now let's take a look. Breitbart editor dropped from CPAC for condoning pedophilia. CPAC disinvites Milo Yiannopoulos after pedophilia defense. And the independent Milo Yiannopoulos disinvited from CPAC after pro-pedophilia video emerges. Pro-pedophilia in quotes. I feel I'm getting some post-traumatic stress. Why? Oh, because that's exactly what they did to me. Exactly. Take a look at this headline. Roosh V. Protesters call for pro-rape pickup artists to be banned from UK. Pro-rape. Let's take a look at another one. Pro-rape pickup artist Roosh V. is mobilizing British men. Like an army. Here's why you shouldn't care. Okay, maybe you should care. In Cincinnati.com, city I've never been, a legal rape blogger plans Sharonville meetup. Here in Canada, mayors blast pro-rape men's meetings planned for Canadian cities. And some local newspaper, I don't even know where this is, Shropshire, I think that's in England. Rape advocate event in Shrewsbury sparks fury. Here's another one, legal rape fanboys to host covert meetings in 10 cities. Oh my God. And now all that outrage came about a year after this article was written, How to Stop Rape, where I did a thought experiment, people, where I said if you legalize rape, girls will take care of themselves, their safety better. People took it literally because they're psychotic, they're idiots, they wanted to take me down. So the good way to take someone down is take their joke, take their satire, take their flippant comments, and turn it into reality and objective truth. And that's what they're doing to Milo now. Now, I'm not sure, we don't know what's in Milo's head. We don't know what is the actual truth that he believes in. But we've seen this before. They did it on me. I don't believe in rape, people. I don't believe rape should be legalized. I don't. I've said this a billion times, but they still use this term on me. They still do it because they're sick. Now, they recently did this kind of hit job on someone else, someone who is like the last guy you would think. He's not even a dissident. He's just not part of the mainstream collective. Do you know who he is? PewDiePie, a freaking gaming vlogger. He has 53 million subscriptions, though. And look what the freaking headline on him was. PewDiePie was always kind of racist, but now he's a hero to Nazis. Holy shit, they called this guy a Nazi. And if you know what the case was, if you looked in the videos, he's not a Nazi, people. PewDiePie is not a Nazi. Maybe he's being red-pilled, but he's not a Nazi. This guy is not a Nazi. I mean, he is inclusive and all those multicultural buzzwords that you can think of. That's him. The fact that they're going after him means no one is safe. I mean, they went after him bad enough that this guy, I mean, he basically started crying. And here's a video.
Thank you, everyone in the YouTube community. Hey, it means a lot. Thank you. Thanks.
Look, I will tell you, it is hard. It is hard when you know that you are being wrongly accused of things that you didn't do, when there are forces at play that are trying to paint you as someone you're not. It is very hard. You're not, if you're just a viewer, if you're not a part of the dissident movement, or if you're not anti-establishment and have a big voice in it, you have no idea how it's like. It's not painful physically. It's not someone torturing you, but you feel like the walls are closing in and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. You can't do anything. You can't zap those articles. You can't zap all those comments, a lot of hate coming your way for something that you don't even do. This guy is not a Nazi, but he was called it in a lot of articles, so he breaks down. That's how it is. You break down. So the outrage for Milo, it's still gathering steam. Why? Well, they canceled his book. His book by Simon and Schuster, they canceled that. That was about to be published, and now that is gone. I don't even know if he owns the rights to what the book was, so I don't even think he can self-publish it. And then Mike Cernovich stated that this was a deep state attack, that this was coordinated between Jake Tapper, who he claims is CIA, and various other forces. There was a lot of money at play to take him down.
They're going to do whatever they can to keep out people like PewDiePie, keep out people like Milo. They have to keep him out of there because he was becoming too powerful.
They got him disinvited from CPAC, labeled him a pedophile, and got his book deal canceled, which would have been a big source of income for him. I hope he gets to keep that cash that they gave him. I don't know if they will. He's probably going to have some conflict at Breitbart. But the thing is, I don't think he's a pedophile. I don't think he is. I think he's gay, and that gay lifestyle is kind of grimy. It's dirty. That's why I have spoken against the gay lifestyle in general. I think it should stay in the bedroom. It shouldn't be promoted in public. We shouldn't have kids doing that stuff. But I don't think he is. Gays are not like straights. I don't know if we can hold what Milo has said to the same standard. If I said, young girls and older men should, go out or something. I don't know. I just don't think he is. So, but you have a right to your opinion to believe what you want. But one thing you have to understand, whether you like Milo or not, and I don't care, is this is a hit job. This is a coordinated hit job. And I know this because the same thing happened to me. This is coordinated. This is powerful people are trying to take him down. This isn't an accident. This isn't hey, I'm stumbling on an old video of, and then you find it. It's not like that. This was set up. This is a setup. He's being set up by people who are very, very powerful. If you're a dissident, they allow you to climb the ladder, but when you are starting to make a difference and starting to threaten them, they push you down. And if you keep trying to come back up, they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you or make up crimes against you, or you're going to have an accident. Now, when they pushed me down, when I got up to a level where now I was coordinating events, meetups in cities around the world, they were like, he is not going to do that. And they pushed me down. And have you seen or heard from me do an event since then? I'm not going to do it, because I know what comes after this. If you don't take their warning, if the deep state, whatever is coming after Milo, I think it's the same actors, forces, at least in the media, that came after me. If you don't listen to their warning and keep doing it, they're going to fuck you up. So, unless you have an army, my advice to Milo is to defend himself, speak to his fans, but don't escalate it. I wouldn't declare a jihad on the establishment. I wouldn't start outing media commentaries. I wouldn't start accusing people in the establishment of this and that. I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's because what's at stake now is his personal safety. If he escalates it from here, his personal safety will be at risk. His odds of a really stupid accident goes drastically high. So I would tell him to defend himself. I'm not saying just to lie down and pretend he's dead. Defend himself. Speak when you can. If they're giving you an outlet to defend yourself, to say what he really meant by those comments, then that's fine, But to escalate this, to declare war, to fight back, he doesn't have the army at his back like a Donald Trump. He doesn't have the Secret Service to guard him 24 hours a day, and it looks like the people are going to get scared of this, just like how people got scared when I was called a pro-rape advocate. They jump ship. They don't want to deal with it. People don't want to deal with this stuff. People don't want to deal when you're called a rapist, a pedophile. They don't want to do it. That's why you get called that. And like Milo said in his response video, he kind of made it easy for them, just like I did too, with my stories and my articles, my How to Stop Rape article. They take what you say, they twist it, and they use it for their own gain at the moment that you gain too much power. One last thing I want to say is that everyone says stupid shit. Everyone does stupid stuff. Everyone has broken the law at some point in their life. The difference between people in the establishment and people who are a dissident is that people in the establishment get their stupid things that they've said or done, or evil things that they've done, swept under the rug by a compliant establishment that wants to keep their figures elevated and in control. So a lot of these reporters you see on TV, they've done some bad stuff, some bad things, or they've seen bad things, things worse than Milo, but you will never hear about it. They are protected. They protect their own. But if you're a dissident, and you can do something 10% as bad, but that will be the front page. You will get labeled a pedophile, a Nazi. They will justify violence against you, and that's how it works. If you're in the establishment, you are safe unless a dissident exposes you. But if you are a dissident and you're climbing that ladder of power, it's just a matter of time. The last thing I wanted to say is, if Milo is watching this right now, bro, I know what you are going through. It sucks. You're going to feel paranoid for the next month. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to eat. I know how it's like. But every storm has an end. This storm will pass. And you have a lot of fans, more fans than me, and they will support you after this. Just explain to them what you meant by the comments, and whatever happens after that happens, just don't escalate it. Don't sacrifice your personal safety. If you're about to do something where you think your personal safety is at risk, it's not worth doing. So if you need help, you are free to ask me for help. I don't like to see someone getting taken down like this in such a coordinated way that is not entirely honest. It's not, even though I don't agree with Milo's politics, I don't agree with his lifestyle, what he's going through right now, it's not a fair thing. So if he needs assistance from me, I'll be more than happy to help this man. So that's all I have to say from that. We'll see what develops in the next couple days. I hope Milo stays safe, and until next time.